Good day, students. You are welcome to another class of social study. I remain your teacher, Adefisayo Olonishakin. Now we want to go to the previous assignments that I gave during our last class. And you will see the assignment on the screen with the answer provided. Number 1 says list 4 concepts of marriage. And we have sororate, levirate marriage, homosexuality, and endogamy. Number 2 says mention 4 challenges of marriage. Number 1, infertility. 2, absence of male children. 3, communication gap. 4, unfaithfulness. Number 3, list 2 solutions to the challenges of marriage. Number 1, forgiveness. 2, there should be room for communication. Number 4, state 2 factors that should be considered before choosing a marriage partner. Number 1 is love, and number 2 is good health. You can also add your points. Thank you for doing the assignment. Now we move to another important topic in social studies, and that is socialization. 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 I believe that you are at home right now watching the television. And what is the purpose of your watching television? You are doing that in order to learn. You are at home, you are receiving instructions from your parents, from your neighbors around. And what you are doing is that you are socializing. Now, at the end of today's lesson, you should be able to explain the meaning of socialization, the stages that are involved in socialization. You should explain what resocialization is and state the importance of socialization. We want to achieve 4 basic objectives. Number 1 says we should be able to explain the meaning of socialization. 2, we should mention the stages of socialization. Number 3 says explain resocialization. And the last one says state the importance of socialization. Now, what is socialization? Socialization is the process of acquiring new behavior through interaction with the members of the society and also through direct learning from others. Socialization is something that's happened throughout one's life. It's a long life process because it goes on throughout life. And we know that there is no way you can live without learning. You learn on daily basis. Learning does not stop. Now, we move to the second stage, which is stages of socialization. We have explained the meaning of socialization. Now we go to stages of socialization. Stages of socialization. We have 2 stages. The first one is the primary or the childhood stage of socialization. The primary or the childhood socialization, and the second one is secondary or adulthood socialization. The primary or the childhood socialization, and the second one is the secondary or the adulthood socialization. Now we explain primary or childhood stage of socialization. The first one, which is primary or childhood stage of socialization. We want to explain what it means. This is the beginning of socialization, and childhood socialization takes place in the family. It takes place where? In the family. I believe that you are in your house and you have members of your family around you. So that is why we say that childhood socialization takes place in the family. It occurs in the early stage of child's life. It starts from when a child is born until the child grows up to join the wider society. So it lays the foundation for the secondary stage. You remember I said that we have two stages, the primary stage and the secondary stage. So we are saying now that the primary stage is the foundation of the secondary stage, bearing in mind that there is no way one can build a house without foundation. So that is why we are saying now that the primary stage is the foundation of the secondary stage. At this the childhood stage, the child acquires morals, acceptable behavior, good attitude, values, and these are inculcated into the child through the family. Now, if you look at the picture we have on the screen, you will see a mother carrying a baby. You remember that when I started the explanation of the primary stage, I said it is the foundation for the secondary stage, and that it starts immediately a child is born into the world. And the first person that the child will have contact with is the mother before the other members of the family. Now, the mother is carrying the baby, and the baby will be learning things from the mother. By the time the child gets home from the hospital, he starts learning other basic things like eating habits, the way to talk, the way to call mommy, to call daddy, to call the members of the family. He learns that through the family. That is why the family is the first contact that a child will have during socialization. And remember that we explained that socialization is acquiring new knowledge as a result of interacting with members of the society. Now, in the second picture there, you have children practicing what they have learned from their parents. You can see the one that is cleaning the floor, one is playing, another one is, vacuuming the floor, taking care of the environment, cleaning the window. So there are various activities that will be inculcated into the life of a child in the family. And it starts immediately a child is born. Now we move to the second aspect of the stages. Now under the second stage, we have the secondary stage or the adulthood stage of socialization. It is the continuation of the primary socialization, and this type of socialization takes place in the church, in the mosque, in the school, among peer groups, etc., etc. Socialization here makes the individual to be more mature. People who are not properly socialized in their childhood stage usually find it difficult to fill in themselves into the secondary stage, and because of that they usually have one social problems or the other. So which means that if a child is having problem at the primary stage, it will affect the secondary stage. It's like not building a house on a solid foundation. By the time you build the house may fall down. So that is why we are saying that the primary stage is the foundation for the secondary stage, and that if a child is not well socialized at the primary stage, the child will be falling into one social problem or the other. Now, when a child is falling into problems, what are the things that can happen? But before that, I told you that secondary stage of socialization takes place it can take place in the worship place. You have a picture there showing us the picture of a church, a pastor preaching to the congregation. Then we have another one of students listening to the teacher in the class, listening to instruction, which means that socialization can also take place in the classroom, in the school. It can also take place among friends. It can take place in your environment, anywhere you are. You can learn one thing or the other anywhere you are. Now, when socialization is taking place under the primary stage, if there is any problem at the secondary stage, it will lead to one problem or the other. So if the foundation is faulty at the childhood stage, it will automatically affect the secondary stage. And when that happens, it means the child in question will need to resocialize. The child will need to be resocialized. If there is a problem at the primary stage, by the time the child gets to the secondary stage, he will be having one social problem or the other. And by the time the child keeps on having problems, it means the child will need to do what? To be resocialized. Now, what is resocialization? Resocialization is the type of reformation training that is given to people who are not properly socialized and therefore find it difficult to fit into the society very well. Resocialization takes place either in the prisons, in remand homes, in juvenile homes, and so on and so forth. So what we have said is that resocialization is this type of reformation training that is given to those who are not properly socialized and therefore find it difficult to fit into the society properly. Resocialization takes place where? In the prison, in remand homes, in juvenile homes, and so on and so forth. Remember, the Bible says that train up a child when he's young, by the time he's old, he will not do what? He will not depart from it. That is why it will be very good for you to always listen to instruction, to be disciplined, to listen to your parents at home, listen to friends that will advise you positively, and watch programs that are educative like you are doing now. Now, we have said that resocialization takes place. It's a reformation, it's a retraining that can take place in the prison yard, in remand homes, and in juvenile homes. Now, I want you to look at that picture. The first picture is the picture of somebody who is in prison. And what is a prison? A prison is a building where people are legally held as punishment for a crime that they have committed. Maybe accidentally you shook somebody in the eyes, and in the process the person cannot see again. That person will be taken to the police station. And what will be the outcome? He may be jailed if care is not taken. That is why we have to be watchful of our actions. So, the second picture there is the picture of a remand home. Now, a remand home is a detention home where children from 8 years to 16 years are sent to for a period of 1 month, where their activities will be regulated. They will have to obey rules and regulation. A retraining will take place for a short period of time before the child is released to go to the outside world. The next picture is the picture of a juvenile home. We can see the people that are lining up there, they are youths. They are not, they are children. These are homes to house children whose cases are pending, and children can receive bail and go home, but that can be in exceptional cases. And when they don't deserve to be bailed, they may be placed in observation home. I pray for you that in no way you will not step into any of these homes in Jesus' name. So you have to be very watchful. Now we move to the last part of the topic, which is importance of socialization. Number one, it promotes continuity of good social values. It promotes what? Continuity of good social values. As a child passes through the family or the other agents that I've mentioned, he will be exposed to right behavior. He will be able to imbibe this and pass it to his own children too, maybe from one generation to another generation. You remember that everything that your parents is telling you at home, they are what they've learned from their own parents, and they are transferring it to you orally, and you too, you will still transfer it to your children. Number two, it prepares and makes people to be responsible members of the society. In what way? Those who imbibe good values like honesty, integrity, always become responsible in future. And I believe that you are one of them. If you obey all this, if you do what you are supposed to do, you will be respected in the society. And the society will want to have you around. So, you become responsible. Number three, it educates new members of the society. Socialization makes an individual to know what he or she is expected to do in the society. For example, the way you dress, proper dressing, how to live in peace with neighbors, with friends, how to be able to accommodate people that are around you. So it educates members, new members of the society. And who are the new members? The young baby that is being born into the world. And the young baby will be accepted by the family, and he will be educated on daily basis until he is able to grow into the world. Number four, it promotes peaceful coexistence in the society. It what? It promotes peaceful coexistence in the society. A child who has been taught how to live peacefully with his siblings at home, with his neighbor, with his parents, will also exhibit that when he gets outside. He will be able to grow up in a way that he will be able to tolerate others. When he is with people, he will be able to tolerate. He will not be the type that will be shunning people around, that will refuse to talk to people. He will be able to listen to complaints of others. Number five, it teaches individuals how to play their role meaningfully, either in the society or at home. Through socialization, individuals are taught what they are expected to do. For example, at home, our fathers, they play the role of daddy, the role of uncle to somebody, the role of a son to their parents, the role of a husband to your mommy. So all this role, we learn how to play it. And a man at home is expected to perform different roles. As children too, you are expected to perform different roles. So it teaches individuals how to play their roles in the society. So far so good. We have explained the meaning of socialization as learning through interaction, and that is something that happens throughout one's life. And we have explained that we have two stages of socialization, the childhood stage and the adulthood stage. And we said resocialization is retraining that is given to somebody who is not well socialized at the primary stage. And we also touched the area of importance of socialization. Now we have some assignments on the screen If you look at the assignment, you will see that number 1 to 3 is objective, number 3, 4, and 5 is theory, for the purpose of those who will be writing their junior exam. I want you to answer the question, and as you answer the question, I want you to socialize positively. Stay blessed until we meet again. I remain your teacher, Adefisayo Olonishakin. Bye.
You're welcome to this class. My name is Jude Appa, and I'll be taking on the topic on the subject government. The topic we treated last week was democracy, where we learned that in democratic setting, you have a privilege to choose who should be your representatives. And on that note, I gave you an assignment to find out the conditions that can lead to the success of democracy. I want to give you the answer as you can see on your screen. Some of the conditions are: 1, effective and efficient leadership. If democratic setting must be successful, there must be effective and efficient leadership. That will make the people embrace such a system. Number 2, economic development and equal opportunity for all citizens. There must be economical development and there must be opportunity for all citizens. That will keep the nerves of the people to embrace such a system and continue with it. Then number 3, we have political education. The people need to be educated. They need to know what democratic setting is all about. Once they are aware and they understand, definitely they will embrace such a system. And lastly, we have application of the rule of law. Remember that I told you one of the features of democracy is application of a rule of law. So where the rule of law is applied in such a system, such that nobody is above the law, everyone is equal to the law, and the game is played according to the rules and regulations, definitely the people will accept such a system. These and many others which I want you to include on your own are the requirement for democracy to be successful in your country. Today, we have a crucial topic. But before I tell you the topic, I want you to look at these pictures. What can you depict from these pictures on the screen? I guess you'll be seeing the process of election. That brought us to the topic of today, election. What is election? Election can be defined as the process of choosing or electing candidates to represent the people of a given country in the government. You will see, I told you we started democracy somewhere in the Greek city of Athens. In that Greek city of Athens, people could gather together. But the time came because of population explosion that people could no longer gather together in one place. Therefore, the need for representatives to be chosen arose. And that is why we talk about election, which is a process of choosing those people we want to be in power. And I want to believe that you must have used your choice at one time or the other. Maybe when you were choosing the class captain of your class, you use your choice. I like A more than B for a reason or reasons well known to you. And you voted for that A to be the class captain. And probably in your home also, your dad placed options before you and asked you to choose. You chose one for some reasons well known to you. That means you used your choice. And that's because God gave choice to everyone. And he allows us to make use of that choice. Remember in the Bible that the children of Israel did not want the children of Samuel, Prophet Samuel, to be a king, to be a prophet over them. And they demanded for a king for the first time in the history of Israel. And Samuel went to God. And God said, oblige them, grant them what they want. So that means God wants us to use our choice. God wants us to choose what is good for us as long as it is good. So that is why this election comes in. Then we can also define election as a contest. Election is also a contest between competing political parties for political power. They contest for that power. Party A wants to be the president. Party A wants to produce the president. Where it's a contest between them or among them if the political parties are more than two. But remember, whatever they do must be in accordance to the rules and regulations. It must be in accordance to the Constitution, the laws of the land. Having talked about that, then we should see to the advantages of election. Does election have advantage or advantages? Yes. What are they? Number one, election is an opportunity to choose desired representatives exist. Opportunity to choose desired representatives exist in any electoral process. Of course, that's why the people come out to choose whoever they want as their representatives. Number two, it enables smooth change of government. Then number four, election promotes accountability. When the elected officers know that if they don't do well, they will not be elected in the next election, definitely they will have to behave well. Because they know if they misbehave, they may not be voted for. We have had a history in Nigeria whereby a particular leader did not do so well according to the people. In the subsequent election, they decided not to vote for him. They voted for another fellow as their leader. That is, therefore, such can promote accountability if the people want the people's, the officers want the people's vote next time. Then number five, election is a public opinion gauge. That means it is opinion of the people about the people in the office. If they do well, they get the vote of the people. But if they do not do well, they will not get the vote of the people. Then election fosters democracy. You will remember when we treated that topic, that in every democratic setting, there is periodic election. So when we have periodic election, now and then, democracy will be promoted. Another advantage is it encourages healthy competition. Election makes sure that that competition is healthy. There's no need for fight. There's no need for trouble. There's no need for whatever may not work in line with the rules and regulations. So it encourages healthy competition. And again, election makes sure that every political party contesting produce the best candidates so that they can win the election. So that brings about people having the best contesting for such a position. Lastly, on the advantages, it promotes political education. Anywhere there is democratic setting and election holds, definitely the people will be enlightened through campaigns of political parties, their rallies, and other things that they have, just to enlighten the people about what they intend to do when they get to power. So these are the advantages of election. Having examined the advantages, then we ask the questions, does democracy have disadvantages? Of course, there are so many. Let us examine them one after the other. Number one, election polarizes people into antagonist groups. Election can make a husband be a sworn enemy of the wife. Election can make a wife be a sworn enemy of the husband. Election can make a brother hate his brother. So election can polarize the people into antagonist groups. Number two, disadvantage. Division caused by election does not give room for peace and unity. And that is why you see in third nations of the world, like in Africa, you find a lot of disunity here and there, lack of peace, all because of election. Even years after, you still see rancor, you still see bitterness because of election. Number three, election enthrones political demagogues. Who are these demagogues? We call them deceivers. People that use sugar-coated mouth to get the vote of the people. They use fake manifestos to get election of the people. But while they get to position, they fail to do what they promise. We call them demagogues. Then number four, election wastes huge public fund. In the history of Nigeria, a lot of money was spent in 2011. A lot of money was spent in 2015. A lot of money was spent in 2019. According to public analysts, all this money that was expended in election could have been enough to invest in our decade infrastructures. And indeed, when you look at it, when you reason deeply, you will agree that they said the right thing. Also, number five, it causes unequal development. Election can cause unequal development. For instance, in places where some officers were not voted for, political office holders were not voted for, they may decide not to do anything in such a place. So those people, those areas, those people will not benefit from such a government, all because they did not vote for the winning party in power. Then, number six, election breeds nepotism, ethnocentrism, and division. What is nepotism? We talk about favoritism. A is from my place, and then you favor him, even if he wasn't qualified for such a position. Ethnocentrism. B is from my tribe. He is my village kinsman. So for that reason, let me appoint him to be in position. That's ethnocentrism. Having examined these disadvantages, we have to look at the next subheading, which is types of election. One, we have direct election. This is a form of election where the electorate elects their representatives directly, e.g. Nigeria. For instance, when we voted for the current president of our country, President Muhammadu Buhari, Everybody that were qualified came out and cast their vote for him. That's direct election. And this type of election has advantages. So we look at advantages of direct election. Number one, it reflects the popular choice of the people. The number two, it promotes equality of voters. That means everybody, as we are equal, as we have learned in the previous topic, then we are able to make use of our vote. One man, one vote, because you are qualified. Number three, it is more democratic because it involves all voters. Everybody that is qualified has the right to vote and be voted for. The number four, it encourages political participation. Direct voting makes people come out from wherever you are to participate in the process of that election. Then, it is simple to operate, and many countries of the world adopt this system. Lastly, it enables voters to know their representatives better. How? When they come down for campaign, they're able to see these leaders, who they are, and they're able to view them, and then they're able to also evaluate them. Having seen the advantages of this type of election, we look at the disadvantages also. Disadvantages of direct election. One of them is many of the voters usually vote blindly and wrongly, especially the illiterate ones among them. That's why easily they are deceived by little money, they are deceived by little thing or the other. They cast their vote to the wrong person. Then number two, it is generally characterized by malpractices and rigging. This is what brought about crisis after the election, where A may claim I was the rightful winner of the election, and B will claim I was the one. And that's why you see that long after election, court is still giving judgment and verdict on past elections. Then three, it encourages violence during voting because of large number involved. Number four, it may lead to disenfranchisement. It may lead to disenfranchisement. People may be disenfranchised from voting. Then lastly, in most cases, many police stations lack adequate security. So this gives way to several things that happen abnormally. I think on this note, I will conclude for today. But before I go, look at this assignment on your screen. State 5 factors that militate against free and fair election in your country. Number 2, suggest 5 possible ways we can have free and fair election in the country in the next election. Then, lastly, explain the process of electing a class prefect in your school. On this note, I close. I remain Jude Apa. We'll see you next time.